Hello, my name's Nick Harris. I'm an illustrator. It's a job I've been doing since 1982 on a full-time basis as a freelancer. So yes, not only do I have hair where I don't want it now, it's not even the right colour anymore. I'm ancient. Today we're going to be looking at the new Artrage. I've been working with it in beta, and in fact I'm preparing this workshop in beta. So some of the things I talk about here, if there's any problems with them, may well have been sorted by the time it actually gets to you. In fact, I'll be surprised if they're not. They're a very good team at Ambient. I'm particularly going to be looking at trying to prepare a watercolory look picture today. As I said, I've been working since 1982, and for the first 18-20 years I worked in watercolour. When I eventually switched to digital, around about the year 2000, watercolour was something that I found was very hard to emulate in digital terms. So when a program comes along with a new watercolour tool, I'm immediately going to be interested in it. Artrage is just such a software, and it is one of the tools I'm going to be looking at. But not the only one. In the latter part of my watercolour years, I was required to do a lot more ink work around to tidy things up, and we'll be looking to use that as well to make that sort of a watercolour look. So without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Before I get too far ahead of myself, talking about my incisive way of making decisions in my drawing and painting, I better talk a little bit about the interface and how nice and customizable they've made it. As you'll see, I've sort of opened it up like this with most of the palettes not opened up. You can open up the Caller palettes. That's the paintbrushes, obviously. Left hand side. Colour. I think that's pretty obvious how you use that. There's the metallic slider, as there was in version 2.5. Those of you familiar with it will know how it affects how the colour is laid on the textured papers you use. You can get rid of all this by pressing enter. As it says at the top, you can also right click. I'm right clicking now, I'm on a computer, and it appears again. You also can collapse this one here, collapse panel. That's quite nice. These little things are called pods. They open up different controls. Layers. References. You can still import images to use that you've previously saved in compatible formats like JPEG and TIFF. You can have a tracing image underlying it or overlying it. Stickers are a law unto themselves, which we will go into later. Stencils were available in 2.5 as well. I love these things. Settings are specific to each tool. If I open up pencil, for example, these are specific to pencil. If I go to the oil brush, you get a different set of controls. But the best way to look at these things is to have a play with them, and you'll find out exactly what those things mean, or actually view the help menu that comes on board. Something I've not mentioned yet, if you can move these around. I'm holding down the spacebar key at the moment, and you can drag it. If I hold down Control, which is Command on a Mac, I can scale it up and down. And if you feel like a bit of quirkiness, you can hold Alt, which is Option on a Mac, and you can rotate it. You can reset all the default positions through the view, reset scale or panels. But this makes it all pretty nice. You can have it how you like. But if you could have it in the middle of the screen and press enter, and you've got a clear screen again, so you can just do that all the time, and that's great. Pressing spacebar again, moving it back there. I want this a bit smaller. Pressing Control again. There you go. Great stuff, isn't it? You can do it with these corner units. If you press carefully on the on the bars between. You'll have to probably try a few times. I'm often missing, but I have found that if you do that, if you reduce those, you'll have a few issues with the pods appearing underneath it. So it seems to mess with that. They're trying to do a lot of stuff with this version 3, and they're not on top of these yet, but having the other palettes as customizable is enough for me, and just being able to get rid of them all at the click of a button is brilliant. One thing I haven't mentioned, you've also got a samples. You can save selected colours. I've scaled that down, as you can see already. I'll scale it up so you can actually see what I've done there. There are controls in here. I've just named them various things. You load them, name them as you expect, just using the add button, and there are more controls there. You will find with all these palettes there are different controls in drop-down sub-menus, like this one here. You can add layer groups and things like that. You can do transform layers. Transform layers is vastly improved, and yeah, it gives you the same sort of controls as before, but better, more reliable. Can you tell I haven't scripted this? Bet you can't. There's also controls on the bottom of the layers palette, so you can expand and contract. You can have it a full length if you want to. The layers palette, of course, is subject to the controls of transformation as well. Holding down the control key, I can make it smaller, much less of a footprint. It's just nice. And then holding down the spacebar again, can drag it where I want it. Great, isn't it? There are some, going to the tools now, you'll notice some new tools. We have a paint bucket fill that was badly missing from the last version, so that's great. There is a text tool which will give you a certain amount of, you can make text. It's not brilliant, but I'd rather it was there than it wasn't. You can actually make text in it and do a certain number of things that you couldn't before. Eyedropper, color sampler they call it. This is the transform for the layer. That's another way of accessing it. Press enter to confirm. This is canvas positioner. This is a little module for transforming the whole canvas. I tend not to use it. If you want precise measurements, it's great because you've got these controls here, magnification, and you can see numeric values. That's great. You can have a precise angle on the rotation. I still tend to use the keyboard shortcuts, which are spacebar for dragging around, took a little time there. Control spacebar, Alt, which is a spacebar option. Is it for rotate? No, it's not going to play now, is it? Right. And I hope you all spotted my deliberate mistake there. I still had the layer transform selected, so I was just transforming the layer. What I was trying to do, again, spacebar drags the whole canvas around eventually. This is my processor, this isn't a problem with the software. Spacebar Alt or Option rotates. I tend to use, just press D to get it back square, and filling the space. What's the other one? Yeah, oh, zooming in and out. Spacebar and Shift. Drag on the canvas. You can't see the cursor at the moment. There you are. Drag in and out. Go on and out. Being a bit slow today. Probably because I've got this Camtasia thing going at the same time. Hey, come on, get back. I'll press D again. Now, shall we move on to some painting tools? Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention you've also got selection as well. Look, you probably can't see it because I've made it too small. You've got some selection controls that you didn't have before. Rectangular, circular, come on, tell me what you are, polygon, freeform, magic wand, and paint area. It's quite good, and you've got different, again, the fact they've got tooltips really helps, because I'm not as familiar as this as I should be, because I haven't been, they keep changing it, because it's been in beta of course, and so I'm not up to spec with all the tools that they've brought in. So this, I'm waffly like this anyway, but this is making it worse for you. I'm so sorry. So back at the tools as promised. You've got the ones that were there before. I'll make the settings bigger so you can see what the different ones are. Pressure and softness as before. Chalk, you've only got the pressure, but the pressure will dictate how much texture it picks up from the paper, which you can control in here somewhere. Edit layer texture, because I'm on a layer. If I do go to the canvas, it should be canvas setting. Yeah, look, you've got it comes with a supply of papers, but you can add your own, or you can select and you can change grain sizes as you could in 2.5. So it's just a more elegant interface now. And again, he says, like, yes, you can make it bigger. So as you add more canvases, you will be able to see them just by opening it if you want to. Back at the tools, you've got the eraser, which now, if you're using the other end of the stylus, it used to be that you had to go and select the eraser again to change the size, but now you can just change the size by turning it around. And there's a shortcut for that. If you hold down the shift key and then work on a layer that is visible, I'll make a layer visible. Work on a layer that's... What? Why is it not playing here? No, I've made it. I clicked it twice. Concentrate. See? Hooray, we get to in the end. Dragging in and out, holding down the shift key. You can do this with all the tools, including the eraser on the opposite end of the stylus, which makes working much nicer. Don't use this tool much, or haven't in the past, doesn't mean I won't in the future. You've still got that same as before, glitter tube as before. Got the same, I think you can, that's a more random one, yep. Pencil, you've got a new control on this, which is smoothing. You had precise and rough before. But with smoothing, if you draw, is it going to show up now? Let's have a different colour, shall we? If you draw a jagged line, depending on how much smoothing, see if I do, it smooths it out. So be aware not to leave that on unless you want it. Can be very useful if you want some nice smooth curves, but I tend to turn it off. Unless, as I said, that's precisely what you want. The roller, same sort of settings as before, and before felt that, but all the tools have been improved. The performance of all the tools has been improved, and they're smoother and they're better. They respond better. The glute pen, you've not seen this from before, have you? This is a bit of a quirky one. You may find this useful or not. Look. Nee. And you've got toys like this to play with. Look, you don't have the if you don't want the raggedy edge, you'll have to sort of turn off the texture. You see, you can play for hours with these things. Let's get rid of this. Clear layer. That's how you clear any layer. I'm avoiding that one at the moment because this one is a major step forward in what you'll be able to do in this. A lot of people are going to fall in love with this, but I'm going to move straight onto the ink pen because the ink pen I love the ink pen. If you're into ink work, you're probably really going to like this. You've got smoothing, same as again. Really responsive pen. Look at that. How useful is that going to be without smoothing? I mean, look. Pressure aspect, so you can change the... So I need to make it a bit bigger for you to appreciate the difference. Oh, lovely blobby pen. How many people are going to love this? And really responsive too. There you go. Rotation seems to be what makes it more... You enjoying it? I'm having a good time, even if you're not. You can then have a square head setting, which means for more sort of, you can get more calligraphic effects. It's not very obvious at the moment because I haven't got the excuse me, because I haven't got the settings right, because again I've not played with it enough, but I can just see so much potential in this tool. And if you're into comics, inking or any sort of line work, you are going to have a ball with that. I'm just getting rid of some stuff with the eraser. Yes, I did need to change the settings to make it more opaque, but I didn't need to change the size. Whee! Isn't that exciting? You get to watch me rub out. Airbrush is improved again, same as all the tools. I've got a little bit small there. Something I haven't mentioned, which is very remiss of me, is now you have presets. You can make your own presets. Let's just do these as an example of how this works. Slow flow feels faster to me, but I didn't make these presets. But these are all... See, you can have taper length. You've got various controls. And you have this with all the tools. You can have presets, but people who are into airbrush that I've talked to say that this is a definitely improved tool. You've got a new blender. Yeah, you have, honest. And this, if you look at the controls on this, where's the controls on that? Come on. This is the one. Look, this is the new one. I hadn't clicked it, that's why it didn't work. That's kind of more than I wanted to do with it, but I've got it quite big and quite high, making it smaller. I haven't really got anything to play with it. That's why we're not getting anywhere with it. Let's put some colour down. I'll get onto these in a minute. There's all sorts of toys for you to play with on this to see what it does. This is a definitely appreciated addition to the blenders. It gives you a much more sort of dropletty blending mode, which is sort of less mechanical looking, which is something that was sorely needed. It still works differently. To my favourite is still Painter Just Out of Water, but I'm fast warming to this too. Watercolour, ha 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 ha, something people have been waiting for. To play with this, it's best to, they suggest in the blend modes, which you can change here. You see you've got all the familiar ones that you'll be, if you've used Photoshop, you'll recognise a lot of them. There is also a watercolour one, specifically to use with watercolour, although I tend to use I'm a bit of a multiply fan. I tend to use multiply, which works just as well, and to me makes the colours a bit darker, but we'll go with watercolour. This works in, it's not like using real watercolour, but you can get some really lovely watercolour effects. and you have these various controls. You will have to play with them to find out what works for you. Thinners is sort of how dilute the paint is. Pressure is the same as all of them. It's supposedly how much pressure you're applying. Loading is how much paint and water there is on the brush. Colour bleed is how much it sort of interacts. Then on top of that, you see that sort of, to me that's not quite, but this will be me not having the settings right. You need to play with this to find out what works for you. Wet paper means they blend together. Dry paper means it reacts more like dry paper, but insta dry means it sort of lays over the top. I think you must begin to see straight away that there are possibilities in this. Look how you're getting this nice, it interacts with the texture of the paper. I think you can see some possibilities here, or we should be able to. But let's get rid of that as well. Right, let's just get rid of that completely. Delete layer. Let's go for this one. Now, love these. Love these, love these, love these. I'm not much of an advocate of body colour, although I've gone more to it since I've become digital. I used to be a watercolourist. But this, just the tactile nature of these is just, it was nice before, now it's even nicer. It feels like using paint, particularly if you've got a bit of texture in that going as well. Why aren't these blending too well? Have I got the thinners up too much? Yes. If I've turned the thinners down a bit, you're starting to get much more of a blending feel. Whoop! Didn't want that. Last stroke. Auto clean means it'll retain the colour more resistant to the blending. Do you see how lovely the colours are? The possibilities for blending. And this is without using the palette knife tool as well, which you can apply over the top of any of the tools. Simon Dominic Brewer, whose paintings I love, is an advocate of this tool, and he's only using 2.5 at the moment, version 2.5. So when he gets his mitts on this, I can't wait to see what he does with it. They've also provided a square head brush with this, which is nice, and it responds as it did before, in as much as it will run out of paint like a real brush. So it feels, I know it's an illusion, but it feels more like working in real media. Maybe that's another thing I like about it. I wish I was good with colour. I love playing with this stuff. Ooh. Talk amongst yourselves, I'm just playing. So anyway, that is more or less the tool set, and the best thing you can do is play with it to find out what you like, what you don't, because in every software there'll be tools you like, tools you don't. That's how these things work. One thing I haven't mentioned to do with the colour is there is a new setting in colour options under tools, which is real colour blending, which is what I'm using at the moment. I'll turn it off and see if we can see the difference. There is a difference because I know I've experienced it before, and I bet I won't be able to show it now. Have I still got that turned on? No, I haven't. But it just, the colours do react nice, and I'm using a brighter colour, of course. But I mean, it's good with or without, but I've noticed that it is slightly better with. You can get some really nice colour. You get more purity of colour with the real colour blending on. Let's see. I am using bright colours, of course, so I think you can see that. Can you see the very slight difference? But it is a difference nonetheless. Another big plus for them. Well done, guys. They're a small team, but they have worked hard on this, and I think they've added a lot to it. And I think that's probably enough waffle for this particular section, so let's call that it for now. That's the tools and the interface. Just a quick look at them. Now go play. Find out for yourself. Now please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm going to say to you, stickers. This is a new tool. It's not only new to Artrage, but I've not seen anything quite like it in any other software. That's not strictly true. I've seen things almost like it, but not with the same amount of power and control that you have here. Imagine an image hose where you can move and place each individual sprayed item. Well, that's one of the things you can do with stickers. How powerful could that be? I'll open it up and you'll see what I mean. Let's get the settings open. Right, here you have a vast array of presets that are actually in the beta. I'm not sure how many of these will be in the software when it comes out packaged for public consumption, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them make it, because the very generous people who are the beta testers have made most of these and donated them for everybody to play with. And you can make your own. Well, when I say you can make your own, I'm still learning how to do that, because there's so many controls to it. It's so editable, it'll takes a little bit of getting used to, but it will be totally explained in the help manual when it comes. So let's pick Cooper as an example to play with. Make it a bit bigger. Cooper is a font. You can control the spray rate, so you can have, let's have it on continuous with a slow spray rate. Look, puts a few things like that, a few bits down. Obviously, spray rate up, get more letters. If you don't have a continuous, you get less letters. You can have shadows. That's alright for sort of certain, I suppose you're doing birthday cards, that kind of thing, great. Not really something I want. But they're all on this layer here. If you pick the layer mover, you can pick, you can scale, you can rotate each individual sprayed item. Now I know we're playing with letters at the moment, but can you imagine if you have something else that you're playing with? How much control will that give you? Is that not fantastic? I think that's fantastic. Let's go back to the tool. See, it stays placed. Now, something I haven't done is auto flattening. If you flatten it to the layer, I believe you won't be able to do that. See, it's giving you a new layer. Try that again. I don't think. See, that gives you what you would expect. The whole thing is moved. That is not editable in the same way. So it is that setting that makes the difference. Let's clear these out of the way. Select the tool again. Look at some of the other things you've got. Let's some dune grass. I have to get it off white so we can actually see it. You can see some kind soul, Fashmere in fact, has made this. That's quite effective, isn't it? See, and that's a fairly simple brush. When I say there are a lot of controls, here we go. All these controls are variable. That's on 50% at the moment. Dragging up and down, You have total control over them. And you've got all these things, all this combination of controls. You can see why it's somewhat intimidating, but once you get a handle on it, it's going to be so powerful. And I think actually that's all I'm going to say, because the only way you're going to find out about this is by getting it in your mitts and playing with it, reading the help manual, learning how to use it, and just showing what you can do with it. There's going to be some fantastic stuff made with just this brush. Go on, be some of the people making fantastic stuff. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Well, I think we can call that an end to this section. Hope you get something out of it, but remember what I said at the start, that problems that I may have pointed out, or little issues as we go through, will more than likely have been resolved by the time it gets into your hands. So get hold of it and play with it. See you soon. Bye.